I think we're live.
We're live?
I think we're live. Our team will confirm whether we're live. Yeah, you're live. Okay.
Nice.
We will start in another minute or two. For those that have already joined, thank you so much for joining us. We're super excited about this conversation, and yeah, we'll sort of do the verbal version of elevator music while we give it another minute or two as the team directed before we kick off. Libby, any fun jokes?
I was about to say, if you had to pick a song, an elevator song, what would you pick?
Ooh, it's a great question. Great question. Since I don't know why, I love Rihanna's music. I think it's so catchy. It's not really elevator music, but it's a good
Great kickoff choice.
Yeah. It's more like walk-up music than elevator music, you know?
Like
you're walking
like old school, like Disturbia, are we talking? Or like that era?
That era, yeah. I couldn't name the new era stuff.
I know. Yeah. I've been listening to a lot of Opalite by Taylor Swift. That's my 3-year-old's like favorite right now. So
that's actually why I paused, is when you asked what were the first songs that went through your head, it was all like Miss Rachel and
like Coco Melon. Yeah,
Coco Melon, 100%. Yeah, if it's funny, if you go to my Spotify and it's like, you know, your selected music for 2025, it looks very different than what it looked like 5 years ago. I'll put it that way.
Totally. It's like Spotify Wrapped. Please filter that out. That's not me.
Yeah, AI should be able to solve that for us in the future.
I know.
Well, let's kick off. Thank you to those who have joined this webinar. This is Lessons from Fintech Trailblazers, Innovation, Grit, and U.S. Growth. I'm Zack Levine. I look after the North America team at checkout.com. I'm joined by our very close friend, Libby from Klarna. She leads the global partnerships team. And maybe just a couple of housekeeping items before we dive into the conversation. First and foremost, this is just meant to be a sort of like fintech coffee chat between two friends that have different but similar experiences, which we'll get to. High growth, late stage, or recently public fintech companies that have really helped shape the categories in which they play, and then specifically being in the U.S. and building out the apparatus locally for European headquartered companies, two of the 5 most highly valued, I guess recently public, but previously private fintechs. And then the last housekeeping note I will note is on the right-hand side. I think everyone can see it also on the right-hand side. You can insert questions for us and participate as part of this conversation. We invite you to do so, and we'll see as we go if we take questions during or wait towards the end. But with that, Libby, maybe you can kick off by just sharing a little bit about yourself, how you made it to Klarna, what you're currently doing at Klarna, and we can take it from there.
That would be great. And yeah, welcome everyone. Thank you for joining. Thank you, Zack and Checkout, for hosting. My name is Libby Bostain. As Zack mentioned, I lead our global partnerships team here at Klarna. I've been here a little over 5 years. So I joined in August 2020, and everyone can, I guess, sort of imagine the ups and downs that we've been through during that time. And yeah, I got to Klarna actually from the retail side. So I'm not a lifetime payments person. However, maybe I will be now. But yes, I came over from Walmart e-commerce, and I started at Klarna with the goal of building out a partner success team to manage our biggest enterprise merchants here in North America. So it was during a time of growth for us in North America. And I think someone with retail experience was really helpful because I had sat on the other side of the table, understanding what retailers' KPIs are, what they care about, who the decision makers are, et cetera. So I spent many of my years at Klarna working directly with our large enterprise merchants in the US and in Canada. And most recently, over the summer, I transitioned into a partnerships role focused on our largest global distribution and acquiring partners, such as Checkout. So I've done a lot of different things at Klarna, different regional kind of account management and sales roles, but now very globally focused and focus on our growth strategy through distribution partners.
I didn't actually ask you this before. When you were at Walmart e-commerce, was that Jet or that was separately Walmart e-comommerce before?
It was Jet. Yes. For those, I don't know, is anyone on the call? Does anyone remember Jet? We were like a short-lived but mighty startup taking on the likes of Amazon and Walmart, and then Walmart gobbled us up for $3.3 billion though. In fact, I think at the time it was the largest e-commerce acquisition. There's probably been bigger ones now, but yes, I was at Jet for about 6 months before the big guys came in.
And what was it like working at Jet prior to the acquisition and then after the acquisition?
Yeah, you know what? It was, I had come from Unilever, another massive global company. So it was very exciting to go to a startup. I loved the pace of working at a startup and the ambition of Mark Lowry, who at the time was the founder. And then when Walmart acquired us, I think a lot of us were wondering, how is this going to be? This is the largest company in the world. We're used to being a startup and moving at pace, but it really wasn't that different. So Walmart acquired Jet for the talent, the technology, the pace, all of the things that made us who we were. So they kind of said, keep going. You just now have a lot more resource. So we merged the teams and we merged the categories that we were managing, but otherwise it still felt very startup-y and fast paced, which was really cool.
How, I'm curious because we talk a lot about internally at Checkout, right? Like the right balance between people that come to a company of our size and growth rate of like startup mentality versus, more established process and trying to find the right balance. Like how did that experience blend into Klarna?
Yeah, I think Klarna and Checkout are very similar size companies, I think. And Klarna grew a lot and now we're sort of like evening out. But I think that if you can maintain the ethos, like what's so core to the way startups operate and what matters to startups, even as you scale and grow, I think that's what's helped both of our companies be able to remain agile and pivot and move quickly. So, for example, Klarna, we keep our teams real small. We use kind of the Amazon model. I think they call it like the 2 pizza rule. So every team should be able to be fed with 2 pizzas. So we don't have teams bigger than 8-ish people. And each team is really empowered. It's pretty flat org in terms of like empowered to go out and solve your problem space. And then of course, having leaders, functional leaders to help unblock and escalate things too. But yeah, I mean, in the 5+ years I've been at Klarna, we've had multiple different reasons we've had to pivot. For example, in 2022, I think Checkout might've gone through the same thing, but like valuations were going nuts. It was fun times. And then, it was more about profitability. There was a lot, like money became more expensive to borrow, valuations were going down. And so Klarna quickly pivoted in terms of from growth to really focused on profitability. And the amount of time that it took us to pivot to profitability was insane in a good way. Like I think we became profitable in less than a year. And we're a big company, it was kind of like steering a large ship to do so. But I think because of our structure and just the mindset of leaders and the team leads, we're able to do things like that and pivot very quickly, despite being 3,000-ish people.
Was the recent AI adoption, we're going to move fully to AI systems. Was that part of it, or how did that play into the profitability story, and where are you guys today on that even?
Yeah, no, I mean, we're super bullish on AI. We have a really strong partnership with OpenAI. Our CEO, Sebastian, is always out there in the news talking about how we're adopting AI to help us be more efficient. For example, our customer service operation has become not only more efficient, but better. Like we're having better outcomes with the customer service interactions that we have powered by AI. And of course, a light human touch is always available. I think, especially in customer service, that's so important. The minute people think, oh, I'm just talking to a robot, NPS scores and satisfaction scores do suffer. So we always have that light human touch, but we're able to be more efficient, but also super effective on things like that. When it came to, looking at our profitability and making sure we were still growing, but at a profitable pace, like, of course we're using tools and things like that, but that was really, a full company effort. But yeah, we're constantly innovating and working with the biggest AI companies and our partners like Checkout to figure out what's the next stage of that and what does it mean for shopping and retail and payments.
I hear you. We just got back from seeing each other in person in Las Vegas for Money 2020 last week. Yeah. There was not a more prominent word over the course of the 3-day show than AI and phrase than agentic commerce.
Agentic, yes.
Yeah, it's amazing that it's top of everyone's mind, and I think like you guys and us, like we certainly sit in a privileged position because we serve such a large swath of businesses, of online businesses, of large merchants, and of the population that transacts through those merchants, to play a role in what agentic AI and agentic commerce will be in the future. And so I don't think there might have been 2 or 3 meetings over the course of the show where AI wasn't a question.
Yeah.
It's for sure super important.
For sure.
Yeah, I mean, one of the, you guys talked about your relationship with OpenAI. Maybe share a little bit more about that. And I'm also happy to talk about what we're doing on the checkout side.
Yeah, no. So we were kind of early adopters of OpenAI as a service to help us work more efficiently internally. So of course, like I think the stat we talk about is like 98% of Klarnauts. I mean, it should be 100. I don't know who the 2% is, but are using AI every day in our roles to make us more efficient. And we've seen things like the sales cycle. We can do more. We can have more outreach. We can have more meetings. We can have more, negotiations that are aided by tools like OpenAI and ChatGPT. So I think early on, Sebastian and Sam have had a really strong relationship. So we really are bullish on that. And now it's about how are these companies, including Claude and all the others, what are they building in terms of like agentic and what's the next phase of that? Of course, we're right there. Like we want to be in the conversation around how can BNPL and wallets like Klarna do what we do for regular human shopping, like increase conversion, be an option higher up in the funnel so that whether it's a consumer shopping or whether it's an agent shopping, knowing that's available and knowing that there's more purchase power there that a customer can enjoy. So yeah, we're in conversations with all those guys around, it's happening so fast too. I mean, you see all the announcements like Stripe and ChatGPT had an announcement. Like I'm sure they're being inundated with requests too. There's like all the merchant conversations we have. Those aren't the conversations I lead anymore, but I'm super close with the teams doing so. I mean, everybody's asking, what's the plan? What are we doing? So it's a really exciting time. And I think again, goes back to what I said earlier about how we can be nimble and be agile and get the right people working on that stuff, both from a commercial and technical perspective. But yeah, we're really excited about what's to come. I mean, we also have a really big part to play in what's like the products that are surfaced. So I don't know if everyone on the call knows, but a couple of years ago, Klarna purchased the largest price comparison shopping tool in Europe called Price Runner. And so a big part of our business has been, in our app showcasing like customers can search for sneakers or white t-shirt or whatever it is. And then we're surfacing products based on, all sorts of data and where can you buy this for the best price, things like that. So I think Klarna has a lot to offer too in the sort of agentic protocol space in terms of merchants who we already work with who are surfacing those options.
I think that I got excited, so I dove right in. But I think there were a couple like major themes that when we met last week we were excited to talk about in this webinar. The main one is being the US folks for a European HQ'd company and some of the challenges and opportunities that presents. Maybe share a little bit about your experience with Klarna in the US.
Yeah, well, first of all, it's so fun. Like, I definitely think one of the best parts about working for a global company where you have colleagues from all over the world is just that melding of cultures and that melding of talents and being able to, whether it comes to like the personal relationships that you build or obviously the products that you bring to market. So it's always been fun for me as someone who was born and raised in the States, and now bringing products to market here. I love how Klarna has maintained our like Swedishness. When we go out and we do marketing, and whether it's like we did a Super Bowl ad a couple of years ago, or whether it's regular TV ads that I see pop up, it always is fun to see like the funky Swedish nature of our communication. And I think that's what makes us memorable. And, it's a really big differentiator for us in market is the brand and how customers connect with that brand. I mean, you see the pink, you see the dog with long flowing hair, you see, there's a lot of images that just resonate as truly Klarna. So I think staying true to like, for us as our consumer brand, staying true to our roots has been really important. But going to new markets, I mean, it really has been about trying stuff, not being afraid to try different things and then pivot. So I was talking to some of the team. Like I said, I've been here 5+ years, but we've got Klarnauts that have been in the US for 10+ years. And so I was chatting with them this morning.
What did you call them? Klarnauts?
Klarnauts. Yeah, we're Klarnauts over here. What about you guys? Do you have a fun name?
You don't have a fun name.
Checkies? Audis?
No.
No, not Audi. No, so I was talking to them about the initial launch in the US was back in 2015, 2016. It predates me, but we launched with a pay later product. So I think it was called Pay in 14. So instead of breaking payments up into parts, it was just more of an invoicing product. Like it was more true layaway, like get the product now, but you can pay for it later. We had a product in market where we processed the whole, like we owned the whole checkout, things like that. Like we're so far from that now. And obviously we've seen huge adoption in our Pay in 4 product, interest-free installments here in the US and Canada. That's like our hero product. And so, yeah, it's just interesting. It's all about trying stuff and then trying new stuff when that doesn't necessarily work. Or if we talk to the customers and understand what they need. But yeah, I think it's super fun to be part of a new market, and having the success that we had in the Nordics and in Central Europe, like Germany, for example. I think it's just really important too, because we have global merchants that are transacting in the US. And so those are some really good quick wins too. Like let's go live with H&M in the US, amazing. So yeah, it's really, there's a lot of benefits being a global company and then launching in these new markets.
It's actually interesting. We've had some similarities and some differences. Like we definitely, our playbook, we started in the US about 5 years ago. And, at the time, our product has materially evolved, but we actually were originally a reseller of a current competitor's product. Now we've evolved to not only having our full integrated own set of core processing rails, but a bunch of additional payment methods, such as you guys, payout capabilities, marketplace capabilities, shortly issuing capabilities locally in the US.
I was going to say, congrats on your banking. I saw that your banking license is
Thank you.
happening. Yeah, it's exciting.
Thank you. Yeah, it's another natural step in our evolution of being able to serve some of the biggest online merchants in the world domestically in the US, or continuing to serve them even better than we currently are today. But for us, it was a lot of staying true to what has worked for us in the past and scaling it. And there obviously is some market adoption or adapting to the local market. But, we're fortunate in the sense that the company's been around for 13 years now. So by the time we came to the US, we had a good sense of like what was working and what wasn't working. Sorry, the light just turned off in our room here. And part of the strategy was really making sure that we were staying, pouring gas on the fire of where things were working, and doubling down as we started to get demand signals from the market. So it was really listening to our customers to figure out how to evolve, like layers of an onion, But it was less around trying new things that we hadn't really experimented with before, which sounds like that was one of your paths to success, is trying a bunch of different things and seeing what worked, and then doubling down.
Yeah, it's so true. Like, I think both those things work well. And like what strikes me about what you just said is that, yeah, we're trying new things, maybe trying, like, payments is so fascinating because I think consistency in a global offering is important, but local habits are so important as well. I mean, anyone on the call who's, a lot of us probably work for global companies. Maybe that's taken us on work travel or personal travel, and you go to different places, and just the way that you pay, it's just very clear that it's different. And so having a consistent global offering, but then understanding what works in the US, for example, and trying new things was really important for us. But something that we did that's similar to checkout and what you just said was, okay, where are the verticals that Klarna is a no-brainer? And so anytime we go to a new market, typically we're starting in fashion and retail and cosmetics, beauty. These are the really core verticals for Klarna where we always see success. And so starting in those types of categories helps us gain new customers, helps us gain trust with the customers, because they're having maybe they're discovering Klarna on Sephora, checking out with a $150 cart, perfect use case. And then they really love the experience, all the features in the app, the post-purchase journey, the customer service, all the things that we work so hard to build, a great end-to-end. And then maybe they use us again when they're making, a purchase on Macy's or whatever it is. And then over time, they grow to really enjoy using Klarna so much that now we're expanding into categories like everyday payments. So we're live with Instacart. We just launched with Uber in the US. And in the US, those are new categories for us for sure. And we're building that adoption. But in Sweden, it's like there's a company called Foodora, and they're like the DoorDash or the Uber Eats of Sweden. And it's like 40% of their transactions are Klarna, right? So like that's our home market, of course, and like where we're very established. But I think that's interesting to reflect on as well, is like what we do is we go live typically in the categories where it's like, we know this is a great product market fit. Maybe we're playing around with other things like the consumer experience or the payment methods or things like that. But yeah, you're right. It is important to know where you're strongest and also double down there to ensure at least some success to start.
Yeah, it's different strategies, right? Like one is deep and one is wide. I think we've built the business that we've built by being very deliberate about the types of clients that make sense for checkout and where we can add a ton of value, and like really building the best in class machine for those clients. And it's a challenge. Listen, our sales team sometimes have challenges with it because they bring so many exciting opportunities that at the end of the day, we want to make sure that we're really adding value. So when we work with a client, like they are able to really feel and taste and experience the difference. Because for us, it's one thing to be able to work with a client, but and have the privilege of their trust. It's another thing to be able to walk the walk and be their primary PSP, which is really what we spend a lot of time on, is making sure that we're delivering every single day for our merchants. And you need the right focus and the right product features to be able to do that.
Oh, for sure. And it's so interesting, like just curious, because I think I read that you guys, your next markets up are Canada and Japan, obviously super different from each other. So like, yeah, how's that going? Like, how are you guys thinking about that in terms of like who you partner with and, how you launch and how you kind of go to market in markets that are so different?
Good question. We're live in both markets today. Actually, those
Nice.
were both launches earlier this year, which is fantastic.
Congrats.
Thank you. It's actually interesting. I remember when we made the decision to go local in Canada, it's about 2 years ago, and there was a bunch of work done on whether we should go and work through a partner or whether we should go get our own license. And the intuition said we should work through a partner because it'll be a quicker path to market. But ultimately, we were able to deliver on going direct ourselves in the same amount of time. So we ended up doing that. Listen, it's a really wonderful opportunity for us because we listen to our merchants. They tell us where they want us to expand to, and it's quite easy to quantify what makes sense for us to invest the time and energy with. So, both countries have really large merchants, really exciting blue chip Fortune 100 merchants that are processing on the bins already. And the way that it works for us is the more volume we're able to put into the bins, the more data that we have, the better the performance becomes for everyone. So it's a little bit of a flywheel effect.
Yeah.
So getting those original anchor merchants is really important for us. Making sure that they're the right merchants, that they're sending us the right volumes. We're being very specific and thoughtful around fraud and keeping the bins clean. It's a big priority when we launch a new market, and thankfully both markets are both bins are performing really well and are outperforming competitors that have been in the market a lot longer. And I think it's due to the thoughtfulness and the focus and going deep and being intentional instead of just sort of going wide.
Yeah, that's awesome. No, congrats. And it's so interesting because, Klarna's been around now for 20 years, Checkout for 13 years. Like I think, and we have so many similarities with the companies and the cultures that we go to market with. So we similarly tend to build a lot of stuff ourselves for many reasons and like lots of benefits. But it's interesting as you go truly global and as you introduce more and more exciting products, like where does it make sense, to partner versus build? And so I think that's a constant question that our teams are asking ourselves, and it's definitely an interesting one.
How has the build versus buy evolved for you guys?
You know what? I think like it just depends on what we're on the topic, right? So I think things that are core to our business, like the special sauce of underwriting or the special sauce of consumer fraud or whatever it is, like we tend to build and really invest in, like you said, and go deep and make sure that we're, it's really going well, because it's so crucial to our success as a business and to the trust for our merchants and our consumers. So yeah, I mean, I think it's always evolving, but we also, I think it's important to always have those conversations, even if there's stuff that we've started to build or we're even almost finished building. Like we are so open to talking to the leaders in whatever space it is, to hear what they're doing and how they could help. So I think that's also really important, is we're always open and always talking to partners to figure out how we could do better or partner with them to go faster or do more.
How I want to get back to the original topic that we were excited to talk. We keep going in different directions, being the US folks or the European companies. At least on our side, like we're becoming, we've always been a global company. We're becoming more and more global by the day. We're actually becoming also more and more American by the day, which happens as different parts of the world grow. If I look at the team and we have our commercial kickoff every year. This year it's in February. We bring the entire commercial teams together from all over the world. It feels like the United Nations. It's an amazingly cool thing to see the whole teams together from everywhere. But it's amazing also that, we, even as we've scaled, we have also been really intentional about making sure that we continuously raise the bar and keep some common cultural threads throughout teams wherever they are. So I'm curious, like how, as you guys think about recruiting and talent and being and some of the cultural differences between teammates you see here in the US and teammates you might see other parts of the world, like how do you handle that on a day-to-day basis? And are there things that you're doing as one of the primary leaders in North America to help bridge the gap, if there are any?
Yeah, that's a great question. And it's so fascinating to hear you say that. Like we're also becoming more global by the day and hiring in all of our markets, of course. But yeah, so much of our culture ends up, like we do business in English, for example. I'm guessing Checkout does as well. It always impresses me though, too, like as somebody who, yes, I learned Spanish in high school. I'm not fluent anymore. And I'm like, man, most of my colleagues are doing their job in their second language. So shout out to anybody out there who's doing that, because it's really impressive. But yeah, no, I think I like that we keep a lot of our European and a lot of our Nordic culture here at Klarna, no matter where people are located or being hired from. Like our company kickoff every year. We don't do it every year, but we did it this past September. It was in Stockholm. So it's really cool to just bring not even just commercial, like everybody at Klarna to Stockholm, to the home market to the home office is really cool. And I think a way to just feel connected to the headquarters. And then we do things like every week we have a company live stream where we hear from our leaders and our CXO team. And fika is like a very Swedish celebration or tradition where it's like an afternoon coffee and a cake or a tea, some like a break and a nice little treat. And so that's meant to be, a chance for everybody to hear from our leadership, have their fika. So things like that, I think wasn't really your question, but I think it has been important to us to maintain like that culture at Klarna. And then when it comes to hiring, I think it just evolves naturally. Like the people that have been at Klarna in North America for a long time or have been in leadership roles kind of reflect the culture that we have here. And we're very collaborative, hardworking, very determined, competitive bunch. Like I think another topic that we were maybe going to talk about could be a good segue is like the competition in the market, right? And so we're a super competitive bunch. We keep an eye on our competition all the time. But we're very collaborative internally and with each other, like having the same shared goals. And so when we're hiring in North America, for example, we're just looking for people that are ready to move fast and, get behind the mission and compete with healthy competition with our competitors out there, but team players internally, if that makes sense.
Yeah, there's it makes a ton of sense. I think it's why the two companies work really closely together, is similar ethos in that sort of a way. Very global companies, more of a humble, thoughtful, and enthusiastic culture, gritty, scrappy, and so we look for that everywhere. I think one of the things that I try to be also intentional about is cross-pollinating teams. I'm a big fan of internal mobility, leaning into our global nature. If you were to look at the composition of our teams in North America and our teams outside of North America, you'll see that there is a lot of people moving across the world and taking learnings from one office and in one market and bringing it into a new market.
Yeah.
Part of the opportunity for us, most of our clients are working in many markets with us. So being able to not just have the local market knowledge, but also the connectivity to the local teams and local merchants in a way that's much more authentic and face-to-face rather than just slacking a stranger on the other side of the world has been a really important part of our cultural fabric.
That's so true. We had, I think one of my close friends, a couple of years ago, we had a big push on Western and Southern Europe. So we were really looking to win France, win Spain, win some of those markets. And one of my good friends, fluent in French, he was based in LA, but we sent him to France for 2 months. It was super cool, a cool experience for him. He got to, really lean in with the local teams there in terms of what had worked for us in terms of winning merchants in the US. Like you said, some of the merchants were the same. That always is great. Get FaceTime. It really set us up for success. That jogged my memory. Yeah, that we love to give people opportunities like that. And it's cool personal growth, but it's also obviously great for the company and just setting up a market for success too.
And it's a great sort of career path for high performers, right? It's there's probably the two things I spend the most time on are customers and talent. And as it relates to both, right? Customers also really like engaging not just with their peers locally, but also in other parts of the world. We do our annual customer conference, usually somewhere in Europe, and you have customers that fly in from everywhere. And we try to bring customers to meet other merchants as well. And it's the whole idea of building community, both internally and also with merchants. We view our role in the ecosystem, because we go so deep with large companies, as being able to bring people together and get smarter and move the ball forward. Complexity is good for us because it creates thorny problems that we like to solve alongside our merchants. And internally, it's the same thing. We both, I'm sure, face a million problems internally day to day. And the more that you can cross-pollinate and create authentic relationships within the team, the easier it is to solve those problems and sort of grease the wheel of getting, moving the ball down the field.
Yeah. And I think the last thing I'll say on this topic, I was prepping for today and I saw a quote from, I forget who it was at checkout, but really about being like a powerful alternative to legacy and incumbent players in the market. And that struck me because I feel like that's another thing that we have in common, and that what we look for in our talent is like, we're here challenging the traditional way that things are done. Like Klarna's here challenging traditional ways that people access credit. Checkout's here, challenging the way that typical like acquiring, issuing, like the networks, like, how all that's done. And I feel like that comes through with the way that we hire talent as well, for, looking for people who are willing to challenge the way things are done, or like create a new process for XYZ, or like suggest a new way to think about that. So I thought that was interesting when I read it, because I feel like that's another reason why, our leaders, of course, get along so well, and then our companies partner so well together, is because we're on a similar mission, to like just do things differently and kind of break some of the traditional ways that our industry has been built, over the past however many years.
Where do you guys like hiring from? Do you have like certain companies that have or certain principles around?
I mean, it sounds like, is anyone from Checkout on the call looking? No, I'm just kidding. People have definitely gone from.
We certainly hired a few people from Klarna.
I know. I'm like, have we gone the other way? Like, I don't know. No, you know what? When I came on 5+ years ago, it was a lot from retailers, which has been really interesting for us, and I think has helped us build like a different perspective and helped us win with merchants. So I thought that was very interesting over the past, at least when I was joining and when I was hiring and building my teams. It was less about, pulling someone from, Afterpay, or pulling someone from Visa, or like someone from like a payments company. And it was really more about people who had experience selling merchants, upselling merchants, understanding merchants' issues, and now that I'm in this role on the global partnership side, I think it's actually more important, like, as you know better than anyone, the intricacy of this world. I mean, there's a lot of important nuances, and the relationships are so important, like what we're doing here. And so now that I'm in this role, it's almost more important, to be looking at folks who have the experience working with, PSPs or fintech partners, or whoever it is. I don't know if you agree, but I thought that was an interesting distinction between when we're looking at like sales and account management people versus the partnership world. I'm not sure if that's similar for you guys.
I think, listen, across the board, right? Like we generally work with, our clients are generally sophisticated, smart, thoughtful enterprises that have tough problems to solve.
Yeah.
So people that are more short-sighted, transactional, like it typically doesn't work out so well across any role, by the way. It's commercial roles, and also internally in terms of how, if you're working with a colleague in underwriting, and you're treating them in a transactional way, or in product, or engineering, like the way that we work with our clients pours over into a way that we also work internally, which is being very consultative and problem solving together. And one of our main operating principles, we talk about being one team a lot, and bringing the best of Checkout to every engagement. So that's one thing we try to screen for is people that are authentic and sincere, and get energy actually building relationships with other people, because that's such an important part. Don't tell some of the FANG companies. We usually don't love hiring from companies that have like big brand names, because in general, they have a lot of things that work really well there. And we're looking to get better every day, and constantly improve and constantly evolve. And so it's great when you find someone who's been able to succeed in an environment that is challenging, and they come to Checkout where a lot of stuff is working for us, and they're like, oh my God, this is an amazing place and an amazing platform. And I'm like, I can sort of turbo boost my performance here at Checkout. So that's the other thing I would say is a general theme.
Yeah, that makes sense.
We're getting some questions on the chat, which
nice.
admittedly I haven't been so attentive to. We also invite anyone that's listening to continue adding questions into the chat. One question actually ties into what you were saying before, Libby. How do you stand out in a competitive market?
Oh, yes. So for Klarna, the biggest investment we've made has been in our consumer brand. So I talked about this a little bit earlier, but we have our signature pink, which really stands out amongst the like sea of blue logos. No offense to checkout, but like it
I
seems
won't
like
tell you how much time we spent rebranding our new blue logo from our old blue logo.
I like the logo. I'm just saying it's a lot of blue, right? So like we always, it's like the pink, I think definitely stands out. We really invest a lot of time and resources in building a brand that consumers connect with. Like we always think about, the bank that you use, the banking app that you use. You may open that app and just to check your balance or just to like quickly, pay the babysitter or whatever it is, but it's probably not a brand that you feel super connected to or that you're like a fan of. And what we've built at Klarna, we hear it from customers all the time that they really love Klarna and that we have built a community of fans. And we've done this it's over a long time and very talented marketing people. But some examples are like, we'll do big celebrity campaigns with like Snoop Dogg. He changed his name to Smooth Dog for a day.
That was, by the way, that was one of my questions at the end was, have you met Snoop? But we can.
I haven't met Snoop. I can't. I gotta talk to him.
What's his new name? Smooth Dog?
His name was Smooth Dog. He was our CEO for a day. It was like a super fun campaign. Got a lot of PR impressions. At this point, it was probably like 6 years ago, but we got, I don't want to say lucky, but like Snoop is his relevancy has not only maintained, like he's the coolest. So that campaign was great. We've worked with like Lady Gaga. We recently did a campaign with Shaq. His name, I guess we like to change names, but Shaquille O'Deal instead of Shaquille O'Neal. So just like fun stuff.
Someone else was CEO for a day? Like not Wyclef Jean. You had someone else that was CEO for a day.
I don't know. I think it was only Snoop. I don't know. Maybe Sebastian. He's trying to take some vacation days and bring in new people. I don't know. But no, we've done those big moments and where we amplified big, but we've also gone really niche and done. We did a campaign for the sneakerhead community, and it was all about like heartbeat for sneakers because you guys, like some people on the call might know, but a lot of these sneaker or like reseller companies will do big drops and it's a huge deal and stuff sells out really quick. And so bots become a problem. You got like bots coming in and buying all the cool new stuff. And so we did a campaign all around, like you have to have a heartbeat to, buy the sneaker, whatever. It's like really niche stuff. We've done campaigns with the gaming community. And I think what that does is really helps us talk to people that are really passionate about certain communities that are passionate. So I think those are some ways that we've built just relationship with our customers over time. But yeah, I think when the competition heats up, it's like, it's a good thing. It's so motivating internally to like do better, give feedback to our product teams, like what's working, what's not. Get really sharp commercially, understand what the merchants need. And we talked about this a little bit as we were prepping for this, but it's also validating. It's like, okay, this is a category that was ripe for disruption. Like the merchants want it, the consumers want it. We always talk about how you carry around a lot of different credit cards in your wallet, right? Like it doesn't, there's room for disruption and there's room for multiple winners. And we've seen over the past 5 years that, different consumers gravitate towards Klarna versus Affirm versus Afterpay versus Zip, like all the ones. And so it's been really fun to be part of such like a growing competitive space. It just makes us better.
ASAP Rocky.
Was he our CEO for a day?
CEO for a day. He must have been sick that day.
Laura, thank you.
I also confirmed it while she was checking. You got the double fact check. Listen, I think the thing that you're touching on with communities as a point of differentiation is like authenticity and listening to your customer. And it sounds like basic and cheesy, but it's like it's a real thing, especially as you grow and you become larger and larger. Varun Anand, one of the co-founders of Clay, an old friend, and someone actually wrote something about him the other day, which I loved and screenshotted to him because it's so true. Like he's just like constantly responding on WhatsApp to everyone, to every customer, every prospect, every partner, and having that personal, authentic relationship as you grow. It's one of the biggest challenges of like, as the demands on your time become greater and greater, it's super important to maintain that focus.
It's so true. Like, yeah, the same is true with leadership at Klarna. Like we have a Slack channel that the whole, everybody's in it. And it's really intended for like actionable observations that people have. So, you could be traveling and, you trying to use Uber in Germany, you're Swedish and you're trying to use an Uber in Germany and you're having an issue, like go there. Our CXOs are in there. We're like solving the problem immediately. It's like getting the right attention.
Super cool.
It's super cool. And I think it just goes to show like just the culture that we have in terms of, responding to customers. We've got like, recently we've been calling customers more like to truly go through, hey, we saw that you had this experience, you got denied for something, or you had this issue and you didn't convert, like what happened? And it's so valuable. And it's hard. It's easy to get away from that when you process, over $100 billion in volume every year. But like, that's where the insights are, is like truly going through, like, how did this checkout fail? Or like what happened? Or maybe it went well, but like what would you like to see next time? And so
it makes a difference, not just the insights. It's also where that's also what moves the needle, right?
For sure.
It's that attention to detail. I think it's easier to do when you're a smaller company, because you're naturally closer to the product and to the customer. And as you scale, and we have 2,300 people at checkout. It's a big organization. And so back to it's a really interesting theme, just talking it through, that I hadn't really thought about before, but really the connective tissue, internally, externally, making sure that you're close to people that you're working with in the market, and also people that you're working with internally, is that's also a point of like deep market differentiation as well, not just like a recruiting point of differentiation.
Yeah, so true.
So what's next for Klarna post IPO? What are you looking forward to in 26?
Yeah, I mean, there's so much fun stuff, like good stuff happening. We just announced either yesterday or today a new debit card launch in Europe. We're constantly, like, in terms of product, we're just going to be constantly innovating and launching new products for our consumers. I think global expansion continues to be a really big focus for us. So today we're live in 26 markets, I think 45 different countries, and just continuing to expand and grow. And so, of course, like partnering with companies like Checkout that are truly global is like so important to us. I had seen a question in the chat about like how to choose what partners make the most sense. I mean, it's exactly things like that. Like, who else is equally ambitious to grow and have the most, I think we both work with some of the biggest merchants in the world. Like they're increasingly wanting to sell and be available globally, cross-border, things like that. So just continuing to launch in new markets and make sure our product is available in new markets. And then, just staying on top of what's happening, like the agentic commerce stuff, like how are the agents, how is that going to shape the actual checkout flow as well as product discovery, making sure we're building trust with consumers ahead of that, so that there's no, or not that there's no, because there always will be fear around like AI agents and things, I think, but, building trust so that consumers can look to Klarna for, they know that payment method is something they can trust no matter how the checkout happens. But yeah, I mean, there's so much good stuff. So I think just in terms of like from products to market expansion to, being at the forefront of agentic, like we're super excited for 26.
What about for Libby?
What about for Libby? We have a lot of fun stuff that's going on with checkout. So we're going to be launching in new markets together, and we're going to be, able to support merchants in an even better way. But across all the partnerships that are, close, nearest and dearest to my heart, there's lots of new stuff coming, making sure we have feature parity with, merchants are integrating with Klarna directly today a lot. And we want to make sure that we're giving them a path to integrate through our partners. And so that's a really big focus for me, making sure that there's, no feature gaps. And in fact, not even that there's no feature gaps, that it's actually better for the merchants to integrate through our partners, because all their settlements and everything is happening in one place. Like there's just so many benefits. And so that's a big part of my purview, and like something that I'll be focused on a lot. I mean, I love how we've talked about talent a lot, like, building up the team. Like I've got some of the best people at Klarna on my team. And so making sure that we're, everyone's feeling good and feeling motivated against their goals, and that our goals ladder up to the greater, ambitions of Klarna. What about for you?
Great question. I always think first about talent. We're certainly expanding. If there's people that are in this webinar because they're interested in checkout, please reach out directly.
Not the Klarna people on the call.
Not the Klarna people.
Just kidding.
Even though there has been good cross-pollination between.
There has, I agree. Yeah.
It helps the partnership. Listen, we're really, the caliber gets, we're growing. We need more people to support the growth that we're seeing in North America. We're building, we have a fully local apparatus in North America. So now it's scaling that apparatus across all of the main functions. So that's the number one thing I'm excited about, is making sure that we're bringing in amazing talent into the organization, getting them up and running quickly, and putting them in a position where they can be set up for success. The second thing is our merchants. We have a lot of momentum in terms of new merchants. I mentioned earlier, we're really excited when we have the opportunity to work with a merchant, but we are most excited when we have an opportunity to prove ourselves and win more of their business and walk the walk. That's the thing that we really celebrate internally, when we're able to deliver the results that make us proud. So there's a number of key relationships where we're on the path to doing that, and I'm looking forward to executing that in 2026. And then we have some exciting product launches. We're excited about our growth into platforms. We're excited about issuing, as I mentioned before. You mentioned the Georgia license before. The fact that we're going to have 3 different acquiring bins in the U.S., including our own, is a really big deal. It will allow us to provide even more optionality and more load balancing and performance outcomes for our merchants. So a lot of things that we're excited about.
And we just launched, I think this week, we launched our first crypto partner together. So there's there's just like so many cool new verticals too, that I feel like are ripe for the benefits that we can bring as partners. And that's all. That's exciting too about the US. The US is coming soon too.
And I didn't even mention AI in my answer. So
you're like, that was my goal.
I was trying to get through that without talking about AI.
I love it. Oh, that's so good. Amazing.
Let's just take a look at the questions, because there's still a number that we have not answered.
Any advice for building strong partnerships in fintech?
Do webinars with your partners. That's the best way to build a good, strong partnership.
Like we're doing it, exactly right here. It really is, though. It is like, it's funny. Like we were joking a lot about AI, but like it's the opposite of that. It's like going back to the basics of just understanding like the mutual goals, like that's what a partnership is. And I've really enjoyed working in partnerships versus, with the relationship we have with our merchants. I love that too. But with partnerships, it's a really cool way to say like, what's going to benefit and help us both grow. Meeting each other, like going to the same conferences, going out to lunch, like the way Klarna structures our teams as much as we can is geographically, so that we can do that. It's like, no matter how much agents are starting to do, or no matter how great technology has become, like, of course, like this platform and Zoom and Google Meets, like getting together, getting to know each other, talking about our kids, like whatever, so I think it's interesting because there's so much cool innovation happening, but at the core of a partnership, I think it really is like connecting and understanding each other's goals and how we work. And I think we've done a great job of that between Klarna and Checkout, if I say so myself.
100%. It's all about people. It's the wonderful part about fintech is that, it's everything is a partnership, right? There's no one that's able to do everything on their own. And one of the biggest filtration mechanisms we have in terms of, do we want to spend time with this partner, is like, how easy is it to do business with them? Like, are we similar ethos, similar ways of thinking about the world, similar ways of thinking about customers and putting customers first? Are they transactional, or are they more long-termist in their thinking? So spot on. In addition to the lunches and all the fun that you have together, it's the cultural alignment that also makes a big difference. One for you, Libby. You've built Klarna's partnerships globally. What's something that you've learned about scaling relationships at this level that you wish more people understood?
Oh, that's a good question. Hmm. I think I think one thing that's been important to us is like understanding the partner, like how they operate in all their different markets. Is it like, and sort of how the org structure works? Because at the end of the day, like being connected to the right people can take you really far. And so some partners that we have a really like kind of spread out like decision making. So like for example, they're launching a new market. Okay, all of the decision making is going to happen over there, and that we're going to have a head of whatever they're going to do it. Versus some of our partners really centralize the sort of like partnership in one place. And so I think one thing I've learned and that I wish more people understood is just to like figure that out quickly, and then it will save you a lot of maybe spinning your wheels or wondering like who to work with on what or who's going to approve this. So yeah, I think understanding at a global org how it's structured, and honestly, it's not always an easy answer. So it's not a surefire easy answer, especially with a company like Checkout or Klarna who's growing like crazy, probably reorging from time to time. Like it goes back to like trying new things, and that could include like decision making and org structure. But figuring that out quickly has helped us a lot, which I think is maybe not the most exciting answer, but actually like quite helpful.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. And also what those people care most about, right? It's the org structure and what's the, like, especially as you at every level of the org, there's different priorities and what people are spending their time trying to achieve. And so, making sure you're aligned around that is super important.
Definitely. Yeah.
Okay. We can't possibly end this webinar without a final question about AI. So, because it's 2025, and what would a webinar be if you don't talk about AI at least 15 times?
I mean, I hope so. The agent hopefully is taking notes or something, or we got to have something going on behind the scenes, right?
Well, here you go. I've heard AI agents will soon be managing our payments and finances. Is it safe, and how will Checkout and Klarna contribute to this space, from safe transactions, protecting payment data, security protocols, etc.?
Oh my gosh, it's a really good question. And I think one that's important for all of us to keep at the forefront, right? As we like, it's so exciting and we talk about all these things, but yeah, exactly. How will it be safe? And I think we've seen like as technology goes so fast, sometimes that's what comes behind, like regulation and safety measures, like, sometimes that lags behind. So yeah, I think with payments though, like, let's be honest, like, yes, this is also new. This is also exciting, but there's been advancements in payments technology for years and years. And like safety is so important to companies like Klarna and Checkout. So I really think that just because there's a new exciting way to shop, or this agent, to me, making sure that our consumers' data is safe and that consumers have the chance to intervene if there's a step up flow where they have to accept new payment terms or things like that. Like, of course, that's going to be at the forefront of what we're building. And so, hopefully we can figure out ways to communicate that and make sure our customers realize that. But yeah, I don't know how you're thinking about it from the checkout side, but from my side, it's almost like, let's not make this a bigger, like, let's remember that there's been innovation in payment for a long time, and that we've always kept like security and fraud detection and all these things at the forefront of what we're doing. And I don't think this is any different, but yeah, what do you think?
I think that's spot on. Listen, you're going to have different, I think I'm not actually such a believer that, everything is going to change overnight and you're going to have bots running around and controlling your life.
Yeah.
So yeah, for me, I think it's, you're going to have traditional journeys for a little bit. You're going to have burgeoning agentic journeys for a bit. Some of that will pour over into not just purchasing a t-shirt online, but also managing your finances, as the person who asked the question alluded to. And at the end of the day, there's still regulators and there's still at least in the US, the FDIC. And a large part of what we do is making sure that, we're complying by all the relevant regulations and providing as safe of an environment as possible for merchants to transact with their customers. So it's
And to wrap it back to like the original point, the original topic of our webinar of like being a global company launching these, one thing we have going for us is that the regulation in European markets is often more stringent. So like we're good, like we are used to operating within those, environments. So launching in markets like the US, like we always feel quite confident because we're used to those European regulators. So
cool. Well, we're right at time. Time flies when you're having fun. It's been an hour already, which is amazing.
Flew by.
It did fly by. And we didn't even talk about our kids, which was the third topic.
Our favorite topic. Yeah, that's okay.
We did in the beginning. We had the Coco Melon and the Miss Rachel, which is the most important.
What? It's so true. Yeah. We have a couple more hours until they come home and demand that. But thank you, Zack, for hosting. And thanks everybody who dialed in. Hope you enjoyed.
Thanks for joining.
All right. Bye.